If the layman is asked such a question that he will answer bear, wolverine, maybe some wolf. And he will be mistaken. Everyone fears them, except perhaps the indigenous peoples who have not completely left their way of life. They are real owners of forests and tundra. This is, of course, about the vial of mosquitoes, midges and the like. There is evidence that in ancient times in Siberia, through the vial, people were tortured and executed. Consider the phenomenon in more detail. The most famous and common representative of the News family is a mosquito. Mosquitoes begin to buzz in May, but the peak of activity falls in July. When there is a mosquito on the north-north, this means to do something more than a few seconds without means of protection becomes unrealistic, even just standing will be problematic. If you can be in the open air unclean and do something, then, there is no mosquito. For readers from the central, southern and other, non-brown, regions, an explanation if several dozen insects are swarming around you, and you think that you are excessively mistaken then. Mosquitoes are truly ubiquitous. But there is a rule: closer to the sea and the higher the mountains, the smaller it is. Use. In general, it works for all insects. Involuntarily, you are wondering what these animals eat. No animals will be enough for such a breakthrough of bloodsuckers. If there are no warm-blooded ones, the mosquito consumes floral nectar, like a bee. So don't worry, they will not be lost without you. Mosquito does not like three things: the sun, cold and wind. The wind is the best means of protection. When the wind, life becomes better and more fun. If there is no wind, create it artificially with your movement. But there is a nuance: mosquitoes sit on clothes. Or dig in the back and wait. After all, they are for sure. They know that sooner or later. Stop. With a stretch. We can say that such mosquito activity turns for hiking in a plus in a day you go a greater distance. In the parking lot, the first thing you want to do in a tent or house and not to get out, if possible. Oh, summer is red. I would love you when it would not be heat, but dust, but mosquitoes, but flies. All the spiritual abilities are destroying us. Like fields, we suffer from the drought. Alexander Pushkin. As we see, the great Russian poet touched this topic. The second most common in the taiga and tundra areas is a midge. Mosca is a small annoying creature. It appears averaged at the end of June and can exist until the winter. Moshka in some places is greater than a mosquito. And it announces no less. Its essence is such that this insect cannot just be taken and shaken off the naked part of the body. It will not even be possible to blow out precisely what is bitten into the skin. Biologists say that she has a jaw. Moreover, you notice a bite and pain only after a few hours. This trifle tries to find open areas of the body or crawl between the clothes, brushes, ankles, neck. Just like a mosquito is afraid of wind, but the heat and cold is not a strong problem for midges. Even when in Siberia there are fine summer days, forget about where you are not to give insects. They can naturally rake them here with a bucket. Now imagine hot. A day, when you cannot even wear light clothes, you have to walk completely closed. The question of which of the two evils should not even be chosen. In some places of the vast, there is a blind or boss. Its bite is the most painful. In addition to the fact that the boss's bite, it can crash a lot into the face, so it should be afraid of people moving in open transport, such as a boat or motorcycle. The positive moment is not as much as a mosquito or midges. He causes problems to animals, because it is sting. He leaves a larva under the skin, which develops to rush the skin. In wild animals, you can sometimes notice damage on the fur. This is the same. Homemade seems to be vaccinated. The season is not long, usually less than a month. You are not lucky if you got on him. After all, for something, God created them. So that a person is unsteady. Folk wisdom. There is still such a thing as a mockery. I myself did not meet him, but they report that he is like a midge, only smaller. So, that even a mosquito mesh will not help. How do all these hordes find us? After all, the tundra is big and the forest too, but there are few of us. At least mosquitoes have a built-in thermal imager, which instantly detects the victim. Until recently, it was determined that the vial responds to sweat, or rather to special substances that stand out with it. Moreover, full people have more people, so they should attack them angrier. This is all from what I know, but I think insects still have secrets. When asked how to deal with all this, the answer in the text is actually given. Closed clothing, if possible, choosing weather and route for action, movement. I consider repellents almost useless, if they help for a very short time. At the end, I want to say that the most part of the world population is very lucky. Despite the fact that you constantly hear complaints about mosquitoes, this, as a rule, is the notorious 3.5 mosquitoes that interfere, except that with their hum. And that's great. Consider the ending as a moral. Tell your stories about mosquitoes and midges in the comments.